Howdy everyone, my name's Vogue. This video is my personal review of WALL-E, and it's not meant to be an academic or educational analysis. That being said, I want it known that this obviously contains spoilers concerning the plot of the movie, so if you're not interested in those, you might want to click to a later point in the video where I'll give a spoiler-free analysis. The year is 2008. The world is in a state of turmoil and change. For starters, the new presidency is changing hands. The global housing crisis has reached its peak, and people are scrambling to find homes. Social media rises and the economy crumbles, but for a little crab like me, none of this was apparent. I was always fascinated with the future, as it's a sign of what's to come of humanity, and WALL-E's depiction of it is fairly bleak, yet I don't think that's what made this movie so special for me. Rather, it was a collection of little things that, frankly, I didn't even think of when I had first seen this movie, but it still sticks with me today. So today I'm going to go over 3 key points of why I consider this movie to be the best that Pixar has ever made. For starters, I want to talk about the music. WALL-E is a combination between an original score and snippets from the play Hello Dolly. At time of release, the film was about 50 years old and was a relic of a time long gone. Yet it is an interesting choice that they would use this soundtrack. Of course, the official case of the soundtrack is indicative of the feelings of companionship and love that WALL-E so desperately craves, but I'd like to look at it from a different perspective. For most of the movie, these classic songs play from when WALL-E or Earth and are essentially one and the same, where WALL-E remains alive in a world long since gone. Its beautiful melodies and haunting harmonies echo out into an empty landscape devoid of life, laughter, and joy. The Sunday clothes that the song mentions are no longer needed, as this world is no longer able to be, as they say, impressed. It's also indicative of the vastness of space that's between the Earth and the Axiom, which, too, is also devoid of life. I find it serves 2 purposes. One, it's a reflection of the trash that is on Earth. Like many of the things left about, they are obsolete and purposeless. This music is forgotten by the passengers and captain, and is only reintroduced by WALL-E when he arrives. Much like him, the music represents the past of what Earth once was and what should continue to be if people put on their Sunday clothes and put their best feet forward. The second allegory I can connect it to is from another song in the soundtrack, La Vie en Rose. This song, originally performed by Edith Piaf, was later popularly covered by Louis Armstrong, and it serves to fit the scenes it depicts perfectly. Quite literally, there's almost a pink tint in the background of the shots in WALL-E in his desperate attempt to wake up his girlfriend. All the while, much like Put On Your Sunday Clothes, it feels oddly out of place, given that in universe it was made several hundred years in the past. It's a relic, yet WALL-E is like his own kind of relic, which makes it fit the context perfectly. For him, all of his life has been collecting garbage and finding niche objects to add to his ever-growing pile, yet now, with Eve in the picture, he truly sees life-colored pink, as the song says. Another big part of WALL-E for me is its color scheme, or lack thereof for that matter. Much of the landscape in the beginning of the movie is desolate, discarded, and has hues of orange, brown, and gray throughout. Likewise, WALL-E and the cockroach both reflect this warm, faded color schemes, fitting in quite naturally to their environments. 2 things break this landscape, though, Eve and the plant. Unlike the beginning of the movie and its environments, the plant is green and vibrant and full of life, standing out against its boot and soil like an alien life form, despite our knowledge of this being a traditional aspect of the Earth that we know and love. The lack of greenery is indicative of Mars, actually, with skyscrapers of garbage not unlike the sandy pillars of red found on this red planet. Plus, this also fits the theme with just how fucked up the planet's become. What was once a green, blue, and white landscape is now a sepia monochrome with no traces of color except for the hideous by and large that dots the landscapes. The sky is On the other hand, Eve is this pristine white with a deep black interface and 2 blue glowing orbs to function as her eyes. Even her weapons, her plasma rifle, is not without this alien and futuristic functionality and color scheme. The landscape doesn't frame her, but seems rather bleak by comparison, an ink splotch in otherwise a mess of a canvas. Although color alone makes Earth seem like this monochromatic, dull nightmare, by comparison the Axiom, while not necessarily multicolored to garish extent, pulls a complete 180 on its colors. Every white and black in the landscape is painted with bright hues of red, green, yellow, orange, blue, and everything in between. Without saying the word, the screen paints a picture that this is a living landscape, unlike the Earth, and yet the more you look at it, the more the patterns repeat, and the functions of the colors seem more jarring and less natural. You find this world's ubiquity in color, yet entirely artificial. Yet, every time the movie takes its time to focus its story, it's as if the colors themselves respond in turn. Some of the most memorable points of the movie showcase this, like the scene where Wally introduces Eve to Christmas lights, and where Wally touches the rings of Saturn in space, or even when Wally and Eve are dancing in space. Every moment just pulls new shades to show that this vibrancy is indicative of a pulsating, breathable atmosphere that draws you in every chance that it gets. I've no way to easily break this to you, but I'd like to take a brief tangent to mention something. I love this movie, and if you sincerely want my honest opinion, please stop watching the video now. Even if you know what I'm about to mention next, I'd like you to have this scene fresh in your mind before I discuss it, as I find it to be what makes me give this last point for the title. Given the sunken cost theory, I assume you'd follow this video again, but please, please, please just go rewatch the movie. You good? Back? Alrighty. The reason why I gave such a bold title to this movie is that it seems odd at first, but stick with me here. Wally isn't human. Even in universe, he doesn't breathe, eat, or drink. He does not rest and works tirelessly for years, centuries, millennia on end. That being said, he represents humanity. Throughout the movie, Wally labors about his tasks in a way that indicates a human's personality. Whether this is AI or simply a programming error is without discussion, but it's important to note that Wally does not act like the rest of his machine line. He operates for centuries after their failure, falls in love, becomes frustrated, upset, curious, and kind, exploring the world around him with wonder and naivete. He's kind and helps out others where he can, is cunning and uses critical thinking skills to operate beyond his means. He's loyal to those he cares about, and shows that care through sacrifice, intention, and mindfulness. And most importantly, Wally shows that he is so much more than his programming, which leads to the saddest point in the movie. For the few of you who did not rewatch the movie, shame on you, by the way, this is the part where the Axiom has re-entered the Earth, landed in its docking port. Wally, in an attempt to get the plant into the extraction pod, is cruelly crushed by Otto and brought to the brink of death. In animation, it's reasonable to have senses that things are not reality, but it's incredibly hard not to relate to Wally's sacrifice. Thus, when Eve brings him back to his home and repairs him to the best of his ability, the movie does something far worse than death. Wally resets to his default robotic programming. It's shown that he's indifferent to everything around him, destroying the objects he once cherished so deeply and held so dear without a second thought. He lost what has made him an individual who has survived for so long, and to everyone this is heartbreaking. If you were to stop the movie now, it would be a bittersweet ending, indicative of the last of humanity's hope dying. But the movie doesn't stop there. See, there's one trait in this movie that's based around love. I find that in every sense of the word, Wally loves the world around him. He explores, treats, and surveys all that he sees and hears, and knows with love and compassion. In this way, we are able to get what is essentially flesh creatures who will sacrifice their knowing world of BNL for the true love that humanity can offer, a love that involves sacrifice, commitment, dedication, heartbreak, loneliness, and depression. Something so basic that Wally, even when stripped of all the parts that makes him, he's still able to break through and come back from this brink. I don't think I've ever seen a movie done by Disney that is so accurately and deliberately drives the message home of humanity's greatness. And while I can agree it's a simple message, the underlying themes of capitalism and consumerism are simply just set dressing for what truly is the greatest love story ever told. So put on your Sunday clothes. There's a lot of world out there for you to explore.